Hello and welcome to the Total Drama Bracket Recap. I'm your host, Banana Bread Man, and with the bracket coming to a close, I figure we should look back on everything that's happened, give out some awards for certain milestones, and announce our returning competitors for the redemption round. Get ready for all that and more, right here, right now, on the Total Drama Bracket. In our first episode, you can see a lot of quirks that didn't make it through to the series. The question mark, the bracket logo showing up when the characters are announced to be moving on to the next round, and the general over-editing. This round, both Jocks and Junior were eliminated, with Cody and Ennui moving on. This episode was the first appearance of the sliding character introductions and the viewer comments, though slightly different. The character intros were from the waist up, and there's only one comment instead of the usual 4. This post also had the most votes of any round with 2,000 as of writing. Vito and Topher sadly lost, with Jeff and Don moving on. This one you can see the sliding characters slightly change again, full body shots now, but not adjusted to fit within the caption. This also had a 6-7 joke in it, the first of many in the bracket. The Step Brothers fell, with Manitoba Smith and Scarlett moving on. Fun fact, I created a prediction bracket for the series, and this was the first mistake I made. I assumed Lorenzo had the pull to beat a mic alter. I was wrong. Here we see the final evolution of the sliding character intro, one of the few non-forward person viewer comments, but most importantly, the beginning of the series' first arc, the Spud Saga, though this is just a technicality since it's the first appearance of the man himself. Speaking of which, Spud and Dave lost, Owen and Scary Girl move on. The next part of the Spud Saga added more characters into the lore, with Devin being the #1 Spud hater, and MK being an agent tracking him down to do terrible things to him. Devin and Sean ended up failing, with Cameron and MK moving on. I was personally surprised that Cameron managed to beat Sean. Cameron is a character often accused of being a Gary Stu, and Sean is the clear favorite for Pacateo. Ultimately, I am glad I was proven wrong. Also, MK is way out of scale for the character introductions. This episode I made while actively seething about losing my Silk Song Still Soul run to the Unraveled. I did get my win back though, cause I am the GOAT. Jay and Mike lost, and Joe and Emma, redonkulous race, moved on. Here's the next part of the Spud Saga, with Bowie demanding a revote on his best friend's elimination. Unlike the real show, we did not give it to him. Mal and Sierra fell, with Bowie and Sanders moving on. This episode was voiced by my good friend Pepsi Cat in an homage to Freaky Friday. I also uploaded this video 1 minute earlier to make sure that it would release on a Friday. Lashana and Don moved on, with Brody and Tammy both failing. I made this one right after hearing about Smiling Friends' cancellation. Still miss him every day. Aside from that, this is the first episode I experimented with cutting out the music in a video, with Beardo's untimely death. Carrie and Lori lost, where Beardo and Sammy moved on. Here we see the first use of music that wasn't Attack of the Killer Queen, with Heather getting her own bit of boss music. That being Nightmare King from Hollow Knight. This is also the start of an arc I plan to continue in round 2, with Heather's rampage and Lightning's crusade against her. Stephanie and Miles perished, with Lightning barely surviving Heather's wrath. Here we have our first tie, with Max and Jen each receiving 3% of the votes. It didn't end up mattering since they tied for last, with Harold and Kitty moving on. This was the first video where I put both the confetti and yay sound effect on the Chris silhouettes, a detail I frequently forget. Chester and Svetlana were eliminated, and Bridget and Izzy are moving on. This episode is as standard as it gets. Blanley and Jasmine died, with Tyler and Gwen moving on. The only interesting bit about this is that it marks the first 2 characters in the objectively most stacked bracket of next round. This is another standard one, though I did forget the confetti and yay effect in the intro. Mary and Sadie lost, Lindsay and Duncan move on, making Gwen, Lindsay, Duncan, and Tyler the most stacked lineup for round 2. And I'll say it, by a pretty large margin. And Maria put Chris in a nursing home, barely surviving this episode along with Rock, while Elodie and Amy both failed to move on. DJ is currently on the run from the CRA, Canadian equivalent of the IRS, for tax evasion. Z also managed to move on, while Stacy and Sky lost. This is another standard one for the pile, however my good friend and fellow TD YouTuber Giggly Iggly was very displeased with the elimination of Caleb this round. Speaking of Giggly Iggly, did you know that me and him are working on a show together? This is my totally seamless plug of Superstar Genesis. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more updates soon. Anyways, Caleb and Leonard fail, Zoe and Ella move on. This episode marked our first tie that actually mattered, with Justin and Jose tying for 3rd place. I kept the results running for a bit longer to decide a runner-up. Ultimately, Jose ended up winning with 20% to Justin's 18. While I adore Justin, it is nice to see a Gen 1 character lose. Justin and Ripper fell, Jose and Chef moved on. This was the only short where my prediction was completely wrong. I was under the impression that Gen 1 star power and reboot recency bias would pull through over Redonkulous's generally forgotten cast. I am glad I was wrong. This post also had the least engagement of any with only 485 votes. Nichelle and Katie lost, MacArthur and Dwayne moved on. Yet another basic one, though there was a 6-7 joke, so that's something. Sam and Mickey cease to exist, Scott and Millie continue on. This episode was voiced by Chris McLean himself. Due to this, there are a couple quirks in it, like the silhouette being a different pose and not in shadow, the cast shot only being 3 campers, and the yay sound effect being played late. Okay, that was just an editing error. Chris and Raj move on, Taylor and Emma fall. Pete does not exist. B does not exist. Nothing happened to Damien. She does not exist. She does not exist. She does not exist. She does not exist. This episode is a biggie. The voters unionizing, another 6-7 joke, and Chase, Beth, and Priya all being placed into a saw trap with a 3-way tie. In the end, Priya barely scraped by with Noah moving on to the next round. Chase and Beth were not as lucky. Since Priya and Beth were both tied by the end of the voting period with 13% each, I decided to make a judgment call. I landed on Priya, not because I prefer her, but because I'm tired of Gen 1 bullshitters moving on. We need more variety. This episode is fun. For the first day or so, Julia was comfortably beating Eva. But then, I got a Discord notification from Pepsi Cat demanding I stop the count, with Eva winning by a single %. I let it play out though, cause I'm an asshole, but Eva gained a far more sizable lead. Wayne and Eva moved on. Julia and Rodney lost. Alejandro was crowned GOAT of Total Drama with my mediocre boys reference. He and Zeke are moving on, with Axel and Tom failing. As of writing, the final 2 polls are not yet finished, so I'll throw the winners up here. So that's the recap, but that's not everything. On to my favorite bit, statistics. Starting small and moving on, excluding Blaney as she is also a competitor, 100% of the main series hosts moved on. Only 1/6 of Mike and his alters managed to move on, that being Manitoba Smith. 11 out of the 14 All-Stars managed to move on, with the 3 failures being Sierra, Mike, and Sam. The remaining stats will be included, however due to the bracket not being quite finished, final stats will be slightly different to those stated. 75% of Gen 1 managed to move on to the next round of the bracket. Ignoring Mike's alters, 63% of Gen 2 moved on, 30% of Gen 3, 29% of the Redonkulous race moved on, and 56% of Gen 4 moved on. 48% of those who moved on were women, and 52% were men. Only 23% of the bracket's competitors never made merge. And now, time for the awards. Our first award is the Burnt Marshmallow for the first person eliminated from the bracket. Give it up for Dwayne Jr. Jr. shows a promising career with a lot of potential. Unfortunately, he was competing with far less experience. I expect big things from him in the future. Our next award is brought to us by the Jimmy program, recognizing the host with the most. The Jimmy Award goes to the best performing host in the competition. Give it up for Chris McLean with 66%.
Wow, hey, thanks again. But I couldn't have done it without a great bunch of people from Total Drama Action. The interns, the caterers, the camera crew, and the real stars of the show, my stylists.
Our next award will be presented by my good friend, the one, the only, Pepsi Cat.
The immunity idol is going to our one and only Eva. This award is for the camper with the most shocking victory. Eva started slow with people forgetting she's the best female in the entire Total Drama series, but people began to realize Eva was there, and during the final day rallied to bring her just above Julia, banishing the overrated and overused Julia in return for Eva and Wayne. It was no surprise, but the tension that was gathered waiting for Eva to come back gives her this award worthy of such an iconic character. Her next opponents are Noah, Wayne, and Priya. Talk about a less than stellar lineup. Noah's only good season was a season where he couldn't be voted out by the other players. Priya is a little more impressive, but she kept falling for Julia's obvious plans. Come on, you don't want to waste your vote on someone that stupid, right? Wayne is cool, but compared to Eva, there's no better option. I'm expecting a sweep. Now back to you.
Thank you, Pepsi Cat. Our next award is the Tangled Parachute, given to our best tie so far. The winners are Chase, Beth, and Priya for their 3-way 11% tie. Priya is alone accepting this award due to her fellow castmates brutally dying in a saw trap. And our next award goes to the biggest loser, but a winner on our hearts. The signed Ezekiel portrait goes to Miles for receiving the lowest percentage of views with a mere 2%. Now we have the Golden Coconut, given to one Glup Shido that maybe should have competed but didn't for one reason or another. While it was a close race, in the end, this award will be given to Josh, a talented host stemming from the Celebrity Manhunt cast. This next award will be presented by another good friend and co-producer of Superstar Genesis, Giggly Iggly.
Yo, what up? I'm going to be doing the consistency award, because this competitor was going through round after round after round, and he barely had anyone fighting up against him. I'm giving this award to Alejandro. Good job. It's deserving of the best total drama villain. Alright, see y'all later.
The penultimate award is the winner's briefcase, going to the best performing contestant. Give it up for the one and only Lashana, obliterating the competition with a staggering 82% of the votes. For reference, second place was Alejandro with an impressive 70%. While some may chalk this up to a favorable bracket, not many could have capitalized on it like Lashana. And finally, the most desirable award of them all, the Golden Marshmallow, given to the final contestant moving on to the next round. This award has yet to be decided, and that's where you all come in. I want you to leave a comment below about which characters you want to see in the redemption round. The one and only requirement is that you include some reasoning for why they should return. It can be as simple as you like them, could be as complex as a written epic explaining the in-lore reason. Anyone and everyone is eligible for return. The exact qualifications for the return will remain close to my chest until the short is released. And remember, while 4 will have the chance to return, only the 2 with the most votes will move on in the bracket. Anyways, that's the Total Drama Bracket recap. I hope you enjoyed the series so far. Round 2 will begin shortly. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hype the video, and check out Superstar Genesis. I'll see you in the next one. Later.